Imagine a country where nearly every part of life flows through a silent digital brain, one that doesn't sleep, doesn't forget, and never needs to be elected. Where the national ID isn't a card but a code in your pocket. Where hospitals predict your fall before you trip, and forests are watched by orbiting satellites trained to spot a single beetle chewing through bark. That country is Sweden. And in the last decade, it quietly became something extraordinary, a real-world AI utopia, or maybe something else. This is the story of how Sweden handed the reins to machines and what it cost them. It didn't start with algorithms. It started with trust. Sweden has long been one of the most trusting societies on Earth. Trust in government, trust in neighbors, trust that systems are built to help, not hurt. So when the government began digitizing everything, taxes, health, voting, no one blinked. By 2024, nearly every adult in Sweden used Bank ID, a digital identity system that lets you log into banks, book doctor appointments, or register your child for daycare. Bank ID logged over 7 billion uses that year, not just a login, a passport to society. And this infrastructure, quiet, efficient, paved the way for something more. If a machine could verify your identity, why couldn't it handle your taxes, sort your medical claims, rank candidates for public jobs? A beetle infestation starts as a whisper, one infected tree, then two, then hundreds. Normally, by the time anyone notices, it's too late, but not in Sweden. Here, satellites scan the woods, feeding imagery to an AI that knows the shade of dying pine. It flags the coordinates, alerts rangers, and the outbreak is stopped before it spreads. Not science fiction, just Tuesday. Meanwhile, a hospital camera watches an old woman named Astrid shuffle across a ward. It notices something. Her left foot hesitates. A pattern in her gait matches dozens of fall events. A nurse appears a moment later. Astrid never knows how close she came to the floor. Across cities and villages, chatbots answer tax questions, help with retirement plans, and summarize meeting notes. They don't sleep, don't lose their patience, don't call in sick, and the public by and large welcomes them. Why wouldn't they? Services get faster, lines disappear, errors drop. But then you hear stories like Sarah's. Single mom, foreign-born, lives in the outskirts. She wakes up one day to a notice. Her welfare benefits are frozen. Why? Because an algorithm flagged her for fraud. It didn't say why, didn't have to. Her risk score was too high. Ethnicity, income, education level, they all fed the model. Investigators knock on her door, ask her neighbors questions, check her social media. Later it turns out she did nothing wrong, but the damage is done, the stress, the shame, all because a machine decided she looked suspicious. This happened, and not just to Sarah. Amnesty International found that Sweden's fraud detection AI was disproportionately flagging poor female and immigrant citizens. It wasn't a bug. It was the algorithm doing what it was trained to do, spot patterns, even biased ones. And here's the chilling part. For years, no one noticed, or rather, they trusted the system too much to question it. In Sweden, automation is elegant, understated, but that same smoothness makes it easy to forget who's in charge. In 2025, the government proposed a law to force companies to store encrypted messages, backdoors essentially, for law enforcement. Privacy experts protested. Even the military warned it could make the country more vulnerable, not less. The bill stalled, but the debate exposed a fracture. Sweden was so good at building trust, it forgot to ask when it should stop trusting. Here, the country's brightest minds designed the future. Traffic systems that self-correct, job centers that predict who's likely to become unemployed, education platforms that adapt in real time. But what if the predictions shape the outcomes? What if a town skips building a school because the AI says birth rates are falling, only to watch families leave? What if a machine quietly becomes the town planner, judge, and mayor, without ever appearing on a ballot? What if your daughter's job interview is over before it begins because the AI reviewing her resume decides she won't stay long? Or your grandfather's health insurance premiums rise because a system thinks he's high risk? These decisions aren't made by people anymore. They're made by math. And the math is made by someone else far away. Sweden's story isn't just about technology, it's about values, efficiency, equality, progress. But progress can cast long shadows because when things work too well, we stop asking why or for whom. The same system that optimizes traffic might decide which neighborhoods get better lighting, or more police, or fewer resources. Bias doesn't vanish when it's coded. It hides, becomes harder to question, easier to scale. In classrooms, kids are now taught how algorithms work. Some say that's progress. Others say it's preparation for a world where AI is judge, teacher, and parent. Not every town embraced the future. Some resisted at first, but over time, they were nudged, not forced, just outcompeted. Cities that adopted automation saved millions, hired faster, moved quicker. Towns that didn't, they fell behind. And when you're falling behind in Sweden, it doesn't feel like decline. It just feels slower, more analog. Until one day your services vanish, your hospital closes, your kids move away, and the smart city down the road offers better everything. This is what centralization looks like now. Not force, not fear, but dashboards, interfaces, seamless coordination. It's beautiful, efficient, and if misused, impossible to escape. This is Sweden, a glimpse into the future. A country where nearly everything works, where machines lift the burden of bureaucracy, where services arrive faster, smarter, kinder. But for all its brilliance, this system has edges that cut, biases that creep in, controls that centralize, and a truth that hums just beneath the surface. Even in Utopia, someone still has to ask the hard questions. Because if no one's watching the machine, who's really in charge?